I thought the worst thing my mother-in-law could do was try to ruin my marriage. I was wrong. Because one night she stood in my living room, tears streaming down her face, and told us she had cancer. My husband collapsed into a chair. His hands started shaking. And I remember feeling this wave of guilt wash over me, because instead of feeling heartbroken, something deep inside me whispered that something wasn't right. I didn't say anything that night. But 3 months later, the truth exploded in a way she never expected. And it destroyed everything she had tried to control for years. My name is Laura, and for the first 2 years of my marriage, I honestly believed I had just been unlucky when it came to mothers-in-law. Daniel and I met through mutual friends at a small barbecue. He was the quiet type, thoughtful, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. Our relationship grew slowly but steadily. After a year of dating, we moved in together. A year later, he proposed. The only real problem in our relationship had a name, Patricia. Daniel's mother. From the moment we got engaged, Patricia made it very clear that she didn't think I was the right woman for her son. She never said it directly. Instead, she specialized in small, cutting comments that sounded polite on the surface. "You're very career-focused," she told me once, smiling tightly. "Daniel has always dreamed of a more traditional wife." Or sometimes she'd say things like, "I just worry Daniel works too hard. A good wife would make sure he rests more." It was exhausting. But Daniel loved his mother deeply, and I didn't want to come between them. So I tried to ignore it. We got married anyway. For a few months after the wedding, things were relatively peaceful. Patricia kept her distance. We saw her mostly during holidays or occasional family dinners. Then Daniel received a promotion that required us to move to a house about 20 minutes away from his parents. That's when Patricia started showing up more often. At first it seemed innocent enough. She would bring homemade food or offer to help with small things around the house. But gradually her visits became more frequent. Sometimes she would arrive without calling first. Sometimes she would stay for hours. And sometimes she would casually criticize everything from how I arranged the kitchen to the way I folded laundry. Daniel rarely noticed. To him, it was just his mother being helpful. But to me, it felt like she was slowly inserting herself into every corner of our life. Still, nothing prepared me for what happened one evening about 2 years after our wedding. Daniel and I were sitting in the living room watching television when the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Patricia was standing there. Her eyes were red. Her makeup had run down her cheeks. And she looked like someone had just told her the world was ending. "Can I come in?" she asked softly. Of course we let her in. She sat down on the couch, twisting her hands together nervously. Then she said the words that changed everything. "The doctors found something during my last checkup," she whispered. Daniel leaned forward immediately. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "They think I have cancer." The room went completely silent. Daniel's face went pale. He grabbed his mother's hand, asking a dozen questions at once. "What kind of cancer? How serious was it? What did the doctors say?" Patricia answered each question slowly, as if the words were physically painful to speak. "They're not sure yet," she said. "But they think it might be advanced." Daniel looked devastated. He hugged his mother tightly while she cried into his shoulder. And that's when the strange feeling returned. Something about the situation felt off. I tried to push the thought away. Who doubts someone who says they have cancer? But over the next few weeks, things started happening that made the feeling stronger. Patricia suddenly became the center of Daniel's entire life. He called her multiple times a day. He visited her almost every evening. Sometimes he even canceled plans with me because she said she wasn't feeling well. At first, I understood. But then something strange happened. Despite claiming she was seriously ill, Patricia seemed to have an incredible amount of energy. She went shopping. She attended church events. She hosted long family dinners. Yet every time Daniel was around, she acted weak and fragile. One afternoon, I mentioned this gently to him. "Have you noticed your mom seems pretty active for someone who's so sick?" Daniel looked uncomfortable. "People deal with illness differently," he said. "Maybe she's trying to stay strong." I didn't push the issue further. But the feeling in my gut kept growing. About 2 months after her announcement, Patricia called Daniel late one evening. I could hear her crying through the phone. When he hung up, he looked completely shaken. "She needs us," he said. We drove to her house immediately. When we arrived, Patricia was sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of medical bills. "I don't know how I'm going to pay for all of this," she said weakly. Daniel didn't hesitate. "We'll help." Over the next few weeks, we paid thousands of dollars toward her supposed treatment. Daniel even talked about moving her into our home so we could take care of her. That's when the situation finally crossed a line for me. One afternoon, while Daniel was at work, Patricia called asking if I could come over and help her organize some paperwork. When I arrived, she asked me to grab a folder from her bedroom. I walked upstairs and found the folder sitting on her desk. As I picked it up, something caught my eye. Another folder. Thicker. With the name of a hospital printed across the top. Without really thinking about it, I opened it. Inside were several medical reports. But something about them looked strange. There was no official diagnosis. No treatment plan. Just general checkup results. And then I saw something that made my stomach drop. One document was dated only 2 weeks earlier. Under the section labeled Health Summary, it said, "No evidence of cancer detected." I stared at the page, my heart pounding. Then I flipped through the rest of the file. Every report said the same thing. Healthy. Normal. No cancer. In that moment, the truth hit me like a truck. Patricia wasn't sick. She had lied. And the realization made something inside me snap. But instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to do something else. I took photos of every single document. Then I closed the folder and walked back downstairs. Patricia was sitting at the table, sipping tea. "Did you find the papers?" she asked sweetly. I forced a smile. "Yes." For the next few days, I said nothing. Instead, I did something Patricia never expected. I called the hospital listed on the documents. At first, they refused to give me any information. But after explaining that we had been financially supporting her treatment, one nurse finally confirmed something that made my blood run cold. Patricia had never been diagnosed with cancer. Not once. Not ever. The entire illness had been a lie. And suddenly everything made sense. The crying. The bills. The constant attention from Daniel. She hadn't been sick. She had been manipulating us. But I still didn't know why. Until the night everything exploded. Daniel had organized a small family dinner to support his mother, his father, his sister, several relatives. Everyone gathered around the dining table. Halfway through dinner, Daniel raised his glass. "To my mom," he said. "The strongest person I know." Everyone applauded. Patricia wiped away fake tears. That's when I stood up. "I think there's something everyone should see first." The room went quiet. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the TV. Then I displayed the medical documents. One by one. Every report. Every test result. Every page showing the same thing. No cancer. No illness. Just lies. Patricia's face went completely white. "What is this?" Daniel asked, confused. I looked straight at his mother. Maybe she should explain. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Patricia suddenly started crying. Real panic this time. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. Daniel stared at her. "Go this far?" She took a shaky breath. I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" he asked. Her eyes moved slowly toward me. "Afraid she was taking you away from me." The room erupted into shocked whispers. For 2 years Patricia had tried to control our marriage. And when that didn't work, she invented cancer. All to keep Daniel close. Daniel didn't say a word. He just stood there staring at his mother like he was seeing her for the first time. Finally he spoke. "You lied about having cancer." Patricia nodded weakly. "And you took our money," he continued. Another nod. Daniel's voice turned cold. "Get out." Patricia looked stunned. "Daniel. Get out of our house." That night changed everything. Daniel cut contact with his mother for months. Our marriage slowly healed. And Patricia? She lost the one thing she had been trying so desperately to control. Her son. Because sometimes the lies people tell to keep someone close end up pushing them away forever.